Allison Rosen. Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her the good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is your new best friend. I'm sitting here in my studio with comedian. Oh my God. For some reason, my
tough
brain.
Name, Mario. I know. I get it. It's tough.
No, my brain so desperately wanted to say actor because most of the time it's comedian, actor, writer. It's very rare that I have a comedian model. This might actually be the first comedian former model.
Retired model, yeah.
This is the first time I've had a retired model in my studio.
Let's go.
I think so. I'm trying to think. Jeff, have I... Now, so Jeff is filling in for Tony, who is my current producer, but Jeff is my former producer.
Oh. Pinch hitter.
That's welcome right. Back. Has there ever...
a model.
In your time here, has there been a model?
I don't think so.
Yeah. It's like, and that's why my brain and my mouth refuse to say it, even though you and I just took the photo for the show.
Yeah.
And as expected, I took a scroll. When I take a photo, I take a bunch. I had to look at them and see what was happening. And like every single photo, you're doing something modelly, like subtle.
I can't help it. It's just ingrained at this point, and it's really bad for family photos when you go back to Germany. You know, my whole family, they're like wholesome people in the south of Germany. They're on Lederhosen, and then it's just me in the second row, just absolutely blue stealing the camera.
Right.
Just like, so.
They're like, you're upstaging all of us with your eyes.
Help it. I just look like, I just look pissed at the world because God made me so beautiful. That's what they told me in modeling.
Yeah,
you have to look a little upset about the fact that you're pretty. There's a little bit of arrogance, but also a little bit of like, I'm angry. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like the vibe, and I can't get that. I can't get rid of it. It's just
I get that.
Yeah,
you
get that, Jeff. No, I feel
you
that.
have it. You have it too. I know.
I can feel it. I mean, not a lot, but I get the notion. Yeah,
right.
You get the notion.
Yeah.
I said to Jeff, you can't be in photos anymore. The way you look so angry that you're beautiful. Stop it.
Yeah.
See, and I think that the rest of us walk around and in photos we look sorry that we're ugly. That's the vibe we're getting.
It's another
off.
vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this answers my question a little bit because I wanted to know: does someone just wake up one day beautiful, knowing how to pose, or it was taught a little bit?
No, it was definitely taught, and it was something it was never ever wanted to do. It just happened randomly because I was supposed to be a German engineer.
Oh, according to your dad.
According to your society
your
in Germany, like all my friends in Germany, they either are engineers or techno DJs. There's only two career paths as a German you can really take. Or you become, a supreme leader. Mm-hmm. But other than that, there's not really any like viable career path in the arts per se.
Got it.
So it was supposed to be an engineer, and then I got a call from a message on Facebook from a modeling scout, and he was like, "Hey, gorgeous."
That's really how he started it?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And he was like, you should come to New York and be a model. P.S. You can stay with me at my place.
Oh, my.
In Harlem. Yeah. So I'm in Harlem. No, but I was like, when I first read this message, I didn't know what Harlem was. I'd never been to the U.S. I was like, Harlem, that sounds so exotic. So, I was just open to the experience. Went to Harlem, and then it just all happened from there.
How did you know that it was legitimate?
I didn't, but you got to understand, I come from a town, it's called Alpisbach im Hochschwarzwald. It's a town.
I was just telling Jeff that.
Yeah. Look it up. It's great. It's a great spot. It sounds scary, but it's really wholesome. There's barely any crime. Mm-hmm. We left our doors open. It's very wholesome, very vanilla. So I always trust people. Mm-hmm. I didn't know there were people who had bad intentions or anything like that. Versus if you grow up in Los Angeles, you tend to not trust anybody.
Right.
And I think there's a balance. I think none of them are good. I think you have to kind of, be in the middle somewhere, have boundaries, but also be a little bit open and not scared of everything. So, but I was very far on that end of trusting everybody. Why would anybody want to do anything bad?
Right. But then some people did some bad things, right? Which we'll get to, but I'm realizing, did I even say Mario Adrion? Did I say your name?
No.
I just got so stuck on my brain
Yeah, you
fart.
got so stuck on the model thing. I get it, there's not a lot of model comedians.
Right.
Comedians usually, that's kind of like it doesn't roll off the tongue really.
Clearly.
Like hot comedian doesn't, or funny model, it just does not, it's not two things you put together easily.
Yeah, it's very incongruous.
Yeah, it is. But no, it's Mario Adrion.
Adrian, and I said it wrong too. Boy,
it's okay.
Should we start over?
Listen, no, it's all good. It's all good. No, I get it.
Adrian,
it's,
Mario,
you're
Adrian.
American. I don't, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Allison. Am I supposed to play a funny drop here?
I can't remember.
I don't remember
if
I did those for the one-on-one shows.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you have one at the ready? I have the Zoomies.
Well, let's get started.
So, Mario, Adrian.
Yes.
So last night was Halloween evening.
Oh, yeah.
I was very tired. So after I got up this morning, got the kids off to school, I took a nap.
Yeah.
And during this nap, I had a dream that we did this episode.
Okay.
And it did not go well.
Oh, wow.
Because what happened was my producer was unavailable. And you said to me, that's cool. I have a podcast. I can record it.
Got it.
Which already is not how it would go because I know I could do this if I needed to.
Yeah.
So then you were sitting where you're sitting. I was sitting here. My son was sitting here. My husband was sitting there.
Wow.
And I just interviewed them.
Uh-huh.
And then at some point I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to interview you. And I looked at the time and it was like 5 minutes into the episode. I'm like, oh, I can totally, like that's just, beginning of the episode chatter.
Wow.
But then I looked again and it was 43 minutes into it.
Yeah.
And I did, as I'm recounting it, I said, oh no, I forgot to interview you. I thought you were just recording it. I forgot you were actually the guest. And then I was trying to think, I was like, should we just start over? Which is what I joked about a moment ago.
Yeah.
I'm like trapped in multiple dimensions right now. And then I was thinking like, should I start interviewing you now? And then we'll just like put that at the beginning of the episode. And then you're like, why don't we just do it another day? Like tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I felt really bad and like really indebted to you.
Yeah.
And then your wife was here. And then she was also upset with me. Everyone was upset that I had it was so disrespectful the way I had just let you record the episode while I didn't interview you at all. And then I was talking to you guys and I was making conversation, but it was the kind of thing where I wasn't really hearing anything that was coming in because I felt so bad about what had happened. Mm-hmm. But the, crux of the conversation was like, oh, where do you guys live? And then a moment later, and you guys had said Echo Park, which is not where you live.
No.
Another sign.
Not even remotely.
Right. And then I was like, shit, I think they said Echo Park, but I'm not sure. But I'm already I already fucked up so much. I can't admit that I didn't hear where they live. Anyway, then I woke up, so.
That is such a detailed nightmare. I don't even know where to start.
I don't either. But anyway, that's why I am not going. Well, so I had the dream and I was like, God damn, that's weird. And then Tony did call out sick.
Got it. Oh no.
It was beginning to happen that it was and so then thank God Jeff showed up. So now it's very different because otherwise you would have to record it and I would.
This seems like a self-fulfilling prophecy now, though. I think
a little bit. That's why I had to
if you hadn't said anything, now I'm like, we're definitely going to go down the path at some point. You're going to ask me where I live, and you're going to say Echo Park.
I'm
going to say Echo Park, and I'm like, wait, I don't live there. What is going on right now?
Okay, so you grew up in Einserfeichenferven.
That's perfect. Yeah.
I got it, nailed it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm picturing Sound of Music, The Hills Are Alive, even though that was Austria. But did it look like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Austria, most Americans don't know what the difference is, to be frank. I mean, they're quite similar. But, it's near the Swiss Alps, close to Switzerland.
Okay.
So, essentially, it's called the Black Forest.
So, Bavaria?
It's not Bavaria.
Okay.
People think that's the only place.
Why did I do? Why such confidence?
It's not Echo Park. It's not Bavaria. Get your geography straight. No, it's Bavaria is it's the southeast close. That's where Oktoberfest. Munich is in Bavaria.
Okay.
The state that I live in is not Bavaria. It's called Baden-Württemberg. Right, even hotter sounding.
Yeah.
So that's where all the industries like Mercedes produces there.
Okay.
Stuttgart is a big city there.
Got
but
it.
my hometown is 30 minutes from the Swiss border. Mm-hmm. So it gets into it's not quite the Swiss Alps yet. It's a lot of forests, but then it gets into the Swiss Alp region where it gets a lot of hills, a lot of valleys.
Sounds
beautiful. Quite beautiful, very beautiful, very beautiful. But very wholesome. And again, not much going on.
Right.
There is a bit of a Germany is a fantastic country, but there's not as much emphasis, or doing something out of the norm is not celebrated as much. You know, it's like you do well if you have a good job for Mercedes. Entrepreneurship, doing something like comedy is not really something I ever grew up with.
Yeah, how did you end up wanting to do it?
You know, it's a good question. I once hosted my uncle's birthday party. It was his 50th birthday, and I ended up hosting like we did a performance of Rammstein. Do you know Rammstein?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah. You've seen them live? Oh my God.
Why did I see them?
In the U.S.?
Yes.
Wow.
They opened for someone.
They opened? That's wild. Because they have the craziest live
quite
tours.
Old.
Got it. So that was like a while ago?
Did they play Lollapalooza? I
don't know. That seems a little too mainstream for them.
Yeah.
But
no,
maybe.
I think Rammstein, they opened for someone that I saw. And I want to say it was like Primus, but that doesn't sound right.
Rammstein is like, it's like, you know, du hast mich gefragt. So it's pretty aggressive. But yeah, I was singing that song, or I was doing, I was hosting the show, and I was doing like a performance for my uncle. And I felt so natural to me to make people laugh. And the energy of connecting a room and bringing them together through joy we experience as a collective, that's something I loved. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it meant. But I even watched comedians on German television. Stand-up is not a thing in Germany, by the way. I didn't grow up with it. I didn't watch it. But there's like some comedians who do game shows and stuff like that. And I was like, I could do that. But there was just no example of anybody doing that. You know, there was no theater program in my school. And I loved school. I loved school. I did very well in school. So I was just on this path, and it didn't even occur to me that there could be a different path until I started modeling, until I went to Harlem when this guy texted me on Facebook, went to New York, started improv, and then through that, improv was kind of my introduction to comedy and to this other world, and I started making YouTube videos. And then this whole path of, storytelling, expressing myself in a way different from just looking hot was something that started really interesting me, yeah.
And then at what point did that turn? Because stand-up is like such its own discipline.
Yeah.
You know, you can be a funny YouTuber who's not doing stand-up, but you do stand-up.
Yeah. So that only happened like 4 years ago, right before the pandemic. I took my first, so I went to Second City in Hollywood. I did improv there, and then they had a class. I went on the wrong day for the new program, and they were like, no, it's on the wrong day, but we have an intro to stand-up comedy class happening right now. There's only 7 people. We need 8 to make it happen.
Oh.
Do you, by any chance? And I was like, I love being spontaneous and doing things that are uncomfortable for me. So I was like, yeah, why not? And once I did that, and I told a story about like getting circumcised when I was 19. Oh. And I just told that story in this introduction class. We can talk about it. But I just telling that story to a group full of like, there was maybe like, like 10 people with the teacher or something like that. Felt more rewarding than making YouTube videos that get millions of views. Because it's that like real life. I'd never done a live performance in that sense, right? And felt so rewarding. And that's when I was like, let's move to LA. I, before was traveling the world, didn't have an apartment, got a place in LA. I was like, oh, I'm going to move right next to Second City, got a place in Hollywood and Vine. It's like, I'm going to do this. And then a week later, legitimately COVID happened.
Oh, so, no.
Anyways, and it was ironic how like I knew that I could do comedy, and that's something I wanted to do, and I felt that impulse. But it took me, like I knew that when I was 5-6 years old, but then I just had suppressed it because of where I grew up. And it took me until like, 20 years later when I, through different circumstances, ended up in Los Angeles, where I actually could act on that impulse that I had as a kid, which is funny how that works.
So interesting,
because it gets you to the point where you're supposed to go, but it sometimes just takes a little longer. Yeah.
Root. How do your parents feel about it?
They're very much like I don't want to say uninvolved, but like German, and I mean this in a good way. They always have wanted me to be very independent. And it's something that I feel is a lot more common in Europe, is when it comes to raising kids. European parents, not European parents, maybe Italians are a bit different, but specifically German parents and Northern European parents, much more independent. Like, I was sent to France for like 3 months when I was 13 on a student exchange.
Oh, wow.
I went to Peru when I was 15 for 1 year alone on a gap year, essentially, to learn Spanish and all that. And that's some stuff that just doesn't happen as much in America. Like, we travel at a younger age, independently and separate from our parents. So they were like, he's going to figure it out. He's going to make mistakes. They were not as, what's it called, protective over me in a way.
Like helicopter parenting.
Exactly, not
here,
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know what the opposite would be of a helicopter parent. like a
German.
German. Just German. Exactly. They were just German. Yeah.
Wait, you had a gap year at 15? Like you weren't in school?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a thing that's done?
Yeah, some people do. So generally people do it and they go to the U.S., and I actually wanted to go to the U.S. I've always wanted to go to the U.S. or Canada. Those two places because I watched a documentary about, actually Canada more than the U.S., because I watched a documentary with my grandpa about a brown bear catching a salmon swimming upstream. And I was like, I want to live in Canada one day. That's dope. I don't know. That's how my brain connected the two things.
What about the brown bear catching a salmon upstream in Canada?
It was just so badass. Okay. The nature, all of it. I was like, Canada sounds cool. You know, I want to learn, because I learned English and French in school, not Spanish, but it was very expensive and my family didn't have that much money. So I couldn't go to the U.S. because it was really expensive to go to the U.S. Even as a student. It was with an exchange program, but like it was like tens of thousands of euros, which is doesn't sound that much because you pay for school here, but in Germany we don't pay for school or college. So the idea of paying 10, 15 grand for like an experience like that, it's actually more over a year would have been like, 30. We just couldn't afford that. So then I had an exchange student in our school. He was from Peru, and he was like, Mario, you should have come to Peru. And then I was like, okay. And then I went to Peru, and then learned Spanish there, spent a year abroad, and very common. Maybe, I don't know if you have you had when you were in school in America, I'm assuming? Have you had exchange students from Germany? See, that's the thing.
Yes, but that wouldn't have been considered a gap year.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I don't think.
Well, I mean, it's a high school year abroad. I don't know what it's called.
Oh, like a foreign exchange program.
Something like that, but like for a full year.
Right. Yes. To me, a gap year is a year you take off of school to travel the world.
I mean, same, but I did go to a school in Peru.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I didn't learn, and that's the thing about school. I didn't learn anything when it comes to math or any of the subjects, but what I learned in that 1 year is more than school could have ever taught me.
Totally.
Like, you living in a foreign country for a year, being confronted with Latin culture, which is so different from German culture. It's not even, it's insane. Like, it's like the opposite, honestly, because like Germans are very cold, not very emotional. Germans are very punctual, so Latins are very emotional, not very punctual. So many like
that's what my sister studied abroad when she was in college in Italy, and that's how she describes Italy.
Yeah. Oh, Italy also. Yeah, for sure. There's like difference also. Like if you go Southern Europe, it gets more like, it's interesting how like there's definitely, it almost mirrors the U.S. Where like culturally, if you look at Chicago or New York, people like work, it's colder, people like work hard, a bit more closed-minded. Then you go south, you go to like Mexico, people are more open-minded, but also maybe not as, on time and all this stuff. And the same in Italy, when you go to Southern Europe, it's the same thing versus like Sweden, where people are a bit colder, but so it's almost like the same.
What does it have to do with the equator? What's going on?
I think it's just, I don't know if it's cold weather. I think you tend to work and hustle a little more when it's cold because you know that you have to survive winter. Maybe there's like this work ethic that's in, because you see it even with like, because I live between here and New York, so I go to New York about once a month. And I mean, when I'm in New York, I just work 10 times harder because it's collectively just I don't know, maybe it's the winter and the seasons versus California. It's just so nice all the time. So,
I lived in New York for almost 10 years and I found it to be a very sober environment, even though there's a lot of drinking, but like sober in terms of just like serious and like the West Coast is much sillier and looser.
A little dreamy, yeah.
Which I was surprised because I grew up here and I always felt like a misfit and I always thought New York is where I'll feel like I belong. Yeah. And I really loved living there, but I didn't feel like, I found my people. Like I think I'm actually more of a West Coast person.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I fit in so much more in New York.
Really?
I live in New York in a heartbeat. Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. I would actually like to move back. I miss it. Yeah. But where in New York do you live?
So I don't live, I have a place there I could stay. It's on 57th and 2nd.
Okay.
But I always switch around. I'm in the process right now of getting a place with a comedian from LA. Because comedy's just like infinitely better in New York. There's no comparison, right? So I like the balance of living here. I love living here with my wife. We have a nice, we live in West Hollywood. We have a nice, large place. She's a fashion stylist, so she needs a lot of space. Which New York, it's if we wanted the same place and the same space, an apartment in Manhattan, it'd be double.
Right.
Like the price, I looked up some 3 bedrooms. They don't even have 3 bedrooms in Manhattan. It's like, so we have like a rooftop next to a dog park. It's cute. So I get the best of both worlds a little bit, but if I was single, I'd for sure live in New York. There's just like something about, I don't know. I think there's such a density of experiences. Like 1 week in New York, I do more than in a month in LA for sure.
Yeah.
It feels like life is so rich. But also, living there full time, you can also burn out very easily. So, I think both have their perks, and I love that I can kind of get a taste of both.
I definitely felt like I was doing more there. Like just going, just in the course of a day, just walking around doing errands, like feels like you're really seeing people and doing stuff.
Yeah. And there's like an energy when I'm, so I go to WeWork sometimes when I'm in New York, because I love, editing videos or coming up with ideas for stand-up. And it's so funny when I go to WeWork here in Los Angeles, you look outside the window around 5 p.m., people walk by, they smoke a joint, they're just chilling. Then you look in New York and people are just like walking full speed, like kicking somebody off the subway. I'm like, okay, I got to work harder. Yeah. And then I just, I feel this collective energy of wanting to do more, and it just pushes you to do more in New York. Yeah.
How often do you put up? So you have like almost 1 million followers on YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, yeah.
How frequently do you do videos?
So it's changed a lot because here's the journey on YouTube. I started when I did modeling. I made like do you know Zoolander? The movie, yeah. So it was kind of like that, where I was making fun of male models because I wanted to break the stereotype of models being these douchey, serious dudes, because we're all pretty silly. You just don't see it. You see the photos where we look like absolute douchebags. I get it. But then I wanted to kind of humanize that, and people loved it a lot, so I started making videos. And at that time, I made like 2 videos a week on YouTube, and that was my main platform. Lately, I've shifted a lot more towards short-form content. It's just kind of, what's been working a lot. And my brand shifted from modeling and fitness more to like comedy, and a lot of my stuff's about my perspective as a European on America, whether it's politics or food or anything like that. So now I'm focusing more on shorts, but I'm posting a lot.
And you do all your own editing?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't anymore. No. That was the smartest thing I've outsourced. Sure. So I'm very structured with it, but I've edited all my own until I got like over 500,000 on YouTube. I edited every single video. So all I would do, I would wake up at 6 a.m. before castings, then I would edit for like an hour and a half, would go to the gym, do my castings for modeling. It was a lot of work, and I edited on an iPad at first too. So it doesn't really, it shows you like...
Using like iMovie or something?
I used, so iMovie, and then Final Cut was on the MacBook, so iMovie for the longest time on the iPad.
On the iPad.
And it works. It's more about the story. It's not about the fancy editing most of the time. And I really loved it. I love video editing. But now at some point, it's just like the best use of my time is writing new stuff and like, performing it. And there's so much other stuff now that I'm on tour. There's so many other, things that come up when it comes to like tour management. I have a manager and stuff like that. But still, there's so many little things with promoting. And so, I outsource that so I can focus on what only I can do. And
so do you tell your editing person... Like, how much direction do you give them?
Oh, we have been... I'm so lucky. This guy, he was a subscriber of mine on YouTube. So he was a fan first. And we've been working together for since 2019, so 5 years. So he's edited so many of my YouTube videos. So he knows my style.
Your voice,
He knows my voice. The voice that I've developed, he really gets it. He can probably edit the videos better than I can. So it's like it's that, and he really gets my voice, and we have check-ins every Monday. So he's like literally, I'm very grateful for him because that's very rare. I don't know what I would do if I had to outsource it to anybody else.
Right.
So,
yeah. I was watching your videos, and I was like, these are very well edited.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and creative, and as a story. I watched the video of you that you did about Burning Man.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a very raw video. That's very different. Yeah.
I saw some other ones too. But,
yeah, okay, got it.
But even in that one, I was noticing the edits and the way that it was shot and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've never been to Burning Man.
Okay.
You're now the second guest where listening to them talk about it makes me go, what? I think I might want to go.
I mean, yeah.
But I don't know. I have a real... Like, Jeff, would you ever go to Burning Man?
No, not on a bet.
No?
No, I don't like big festival music event things. I just don't like them.
Well, it's not a music. It's not a music.
But any big festival thing, I'm not into it.
So, like, is it the crowd, the amount of people, the crowds?
It's not like there's some number. It's like there are 450 people here. I'm out.
Yeah.
But it's just there's something about the big festival environment that there's an energy that every type of one that I've gone to, there's an energy to it that freaks me out, and I want to leave.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It's a me thing because clearly people love Burning Man and Lollapalooza and whatever. But it's a me thing.
100%. I get that. I'll say Burning Man is definitely very intense. It's also not. Well, I will say though, it's not it's nothing like Lollapalooza.
Right.
It's not even remotely what that is. So like,
it seems almost like a dreamlike Wonderland Carnival.
Yes, that's much closer to what it is. It's really not a music festival. Like I did, to give you an idea, like I didn't really party there. Like I would wake up and find. I'm gonna sound like such a basic LA girl now, but like I'd find like I would do yoga and breath work, and then they'd have like some. Really, I took a writing class. I learned how to paint. There's so many things. It's almost like a playground for adults where I took a massage workshop, how to give massages. I went to a camp they've just built. And by the way, this is not, they don't get paid for this. Some camp, they were acrobats. And they just built this whole. Have you been to Santa Monica to the rings you can swing on?
No.
So essentially, they built a whole. It's like a whole. They built a circus tent where you can just go and play. And a professional acrobat taught me how to do this. You swing from ring to ring.
Yeah, I saw you have that in your video. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that, and that's the kind of stuff that really. I don't know. It's just so beautiful. Like it's almost like you can be a child at Burning Man, and of course you can do anything if you want. You can.
And there are children at Burning Man too.
There are children. Yeah. And there's in our camp we had age groups from 4 to like 82. Like there was really a vast. I mean, most people probably are between 20 and 40 for sure, but because it's quite intense, physically strenuous, but it's quite beautiful, and you can do anything. You can party. Like obviously you can go to music events and party, or you can just watch art. I mean, there's the craziest artists in the world go there, display their art for free, just as a contribution to which is mind blowing to me. And you can go to the Orgy Dome. You can do anything you want.
But you
really.
have to be in a couple to go, right?
For that one, yes. I think there's different ones.
But there's a communal fleshlight.
There's a communal flashlight.
Which
how beautiful is that?
It's beautiful.
How does that?
So beautiful.
Jeff,
I'm going to throw up. That's how beautiful it is.
If you're not sold by now, what will
what
sell you?
What more do you need to hear? Jordan Morris, were you on one of those episodes where he talks about there was a guy who was like offering to clean people's taints?
Yeah, he got his taint squirted with a water pistol or something.
Yeah. There's weird, but again, you don't have to do any. That stuff exists. I never saw that really, but it's really anything you want.
How does the communal fleshlight work? Like I'm picturing like a trough or something, or is it more like a series of glory holes? What are we talking?
You know what? I have not really been there.
Okay.
So I wish I could tell you more, but I'll investigate more on your behalf. I'm not going to do because I want to, but because you sent me.
Thank you.
So I'm going to investigate next time. Some of these stuff, that's also kind of like a joke. I don't know, like I'm sure there's something like that, but some of these things are also kind of like a joke. Like somebody comes up and was like, "Hey, do you want a wet blowy?" And then I was like, "Sure." And then he basically has a leaf blower, and he has like he sprays water, and it's the most magical thing when you're in the desert with 98 degrees, and somebody just gives you a wet blowy. It's beautiful, So that's the kind of stuff.
I'm annoyed even by that story. I'm annoyed that I'm in 98 degrees, and then I'm annoyed that someone's like blowing water at me.
Yeah.
So I guess I won't go.
But you know what it is? It is such a reset, and I think that's what.
Yeah, you said that you hadn't taken a vacation in like
No, I don't
5
take
years,
time off. I don't take weekends off. I work every day.
And you were missing male intimacy.
That is also true, yes. Because I've been focusing a lot. So like basically what happened is last year I started taking stand-up series to the point where like, okay, this is going to be like what I want to focus on. I started my first tour. And it's tough because I also got married. We want to have kids. There's more financial responsibility. So I felt this pressure to work a lot. And then when I don't work and I'm not on tour, I want to spend time with my wife. But then I felt like there's been a bit of a thing that I've been missing out on, which is male friendship. Because your female, like your wife cannot really replace that. It's a different kind of love you need as a man, which is something I talk a lot about. Bromance is so important. I talk about a lot. I think a lot of men are lonely, and I think we do better if we had like a close male friend.
It happens with husbands. A lot, I think. I know that my husband, it would benefit him so much to go out with his male friends.
Yeah, 100%. But we feel this pressure to like, okay, we got to provide, we got to do this, we got to spend time with, which is all important and valid. So that's my Burning Man. I didn't take my wife either. And
would she have wanted to go?
I think so. And not this year though. We talked about it, and it was on the table. But she's very busy right now with her stuff and her career, and but we want to do that together at some point. But I know that this year I needed this more of a solitary experience. Not even, a lot of friendship, but also I love being alone. And there's just such a reset to when you go to the desert, you're uncomfortable, and it's almost like a dopamine reset because there's no internet, no phone signal.
Yeah,
I didn't have any contact that was non-human or like no virtual stimuli at all, basically. Think about that. How many virtual stimuli do we have every day? Whether it's getting a text, whether it's watching a film thing, listening to music. I had none of that. And that was quite remarkable. When I came back, I was like, wow, how I felt so grounded and also so grateful when you have a bed again for the first time and running water and you take a first shower. You're like, oh my God, I'm the happiest person in the world right now.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a full, like, it's like you reset a computer. And that's what I like about it. Not just during, but also just like it's such a beautiful reset. And after I came back, I was very creative, very inspired, felt very grounded. So it was totally worth it. But it's ridiculously expensive and it's not an easy thing to do. So
yeah, I didn't realize how uncomfortable it was. I'm out. Wait, why did you get circumcised at 19?
Speaking of male friendship, it was a couple different reasons. So in stand-up, I tell the story, and this is partially true. I was like one of my best friends. She was Turkish, and she was telling me if I wanted to date a Turkish girl, I'd have to get circumcised. So I thought about it, and I look more into it. It's also more clean. Also could make you last longer, Oh,
because you get desensitized.
Something I, used to struggle with a little bit, And so I looked into it, and then I was like, you know what? Also in Germany, nobody's circumcised, so I'll be the coolest kid on the block, y'all.
The conversation starter.
It's a real icebreaker.
Yeah. No, it is an icebreaker. People are like, oh my God, how does it work? Boy, wie geht's da unten so los, yeah? And then, I hit up. Literally, it's so funny how, like, in Germany, shout out to the German healthcare system, called up a urologist, was like, hey, brother, what can we do about this? He was like, come through, let's check it out. It's all very awkward and weird, but he was like, yeah, but we can do it. And then it was like...
Had he done a lot of them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a urologist. I hope so. I hope so.
I mean, I don't know
dude.
how...
No, it's actually... I didn't call up a dude. I didn't call up my buddy Hans and was like, hey, Hans, do you think
This is in Germany, though, right?
This is in Germany, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just assuming they're not done a lot in Germany.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, people do them not... They exist. Muslim people, because we have a lot of Turkish immigrants. So I think... But I don't know, maybe... They have a religious, maybe it's done not by urologists. Who knows? But some people need it for medical reasons, right? When you have like I think it's called like when it's too tight or something, you have to cut it, right? So that's kind of like what they do. And yeah, it was phenomenal. Highly recommend. It was the most awkward thing though, because I got the circumcision on. By the way, it cost like 150 euros. Like, insane.
How much is that in dollars?
$165, $70.
So it's a budget surgery.
With it's fantastic. It's just like Germany's crazy with healthcare. I never paid for anything. This is considered
elective.
It's considered like almost like plastic surgery, right? There's no medical necessity for it. But when I did, it was so awkward because they numb you, but I was fully awake still. But they just numb your lower body basically. And then there was the urologist, and for some reason there was 3 female nurse assistants in the room. And one of them went to my school, and she was doing an internship at the urologist's office. So she was assisting while I'm just... I mean, it was very weird because you're also... I mean, you're not in the... I mean, it hides in that state. It doesn't look that presentable, I would say. So it was a little awkward, I'm not going to lie. I'll never forget that. That was so weird.
Did it hurt?
No, because I was numb. What hurt the most is getting the injections to get the numbing. That was the most, because it's between you, like literally in your groin. It's so weird. But then it didn't hurt. But every once in a while there was like a sharp pain because it didn't fully, numb it.
Oh my God.
Overall it was fine though. But after it was weird. And there was one moment I'll never forget, which is I had stitches and they were healing, and it took like about 2 weeks. And as I was healing, I went to the movie theater with my mom, and I went to the bathroom. I was wearing jeans, and I remember I peed, and then I closed the zipper of my pants, and then the stitches got stuck in the zipper of my pants.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and then
what happened?
Yeah, and this is a fully true story. And then I asked my German mother for help. Yeah, like my mom's a badass, so she walked into the bathroom with me and helped me because I was you were helpless in that situation,
Yeah.
I was like.
So wait, how did you get her though? Did you have to walk with your stitch
I
stuck
walked
in your
because it was like a small movie theater,
Okay.
Alpirsbach im Hochschwarzwald. Yeah, so like I just
This
opened.
is your town, right?
This is my town.
What is it called again?
Alpirsbach im Hochschwarzwald.
So many syllables in there.
And then I just opened the door because I walked over there and I opened the door a little bit and I was like, hey, Mama, Mutter, yeah, hello, can you help me? Yeah, and then my mom came in and she saved the day. And it was very bonding moments between us, not gonna lie.
How did she save the day?
Well, she helped me remove because you had to hold it because it was hurting because it kind of was pulling down. So she was also like a lot of this I've kind of, removed from my brain, but she basically helped me like hold and then remove the stitches. But what a mom. She
really came through for you.
She didn't ever tell me she loves me, but in that moment, I knew she did.
You felt the love.
I felt the love.
She said, love is a verb, people.
Yeah, it's about what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
And she came through.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is really not the same at all, but one time I was getting on a plane later that day, and I was wearing boots that zipped up, and I couldn't get them off. The zipper got stuck. And I was panicking because I wanted to change clothes before the flight. Mm-hmm. So I called my mommy. I don't call her mommy, but I called my mom, and she said use a crayon on it, like rub the crayon on the zipper because it waxes it. And then I was able because I said to my sister, get scissors. We're cutting me out of these.
Yeah.
But then we saved the shoes and saved the day. So moms come in handy when something is stuck in a zipper.
Wow.
Be it your leg or your penis.
The fact that you knew that was crazy.
I know.
Next time I'm stuck, next time my zipper gets stuck, I'm going to call your mom.
Call my mom.
And see what kind of like.
But maybe she would be no help at all with like a stitch in a zipper.
Got it.
So I'm going to call your mom if I ever find myself in that situation.
Yeah, I think my mom is very, she's a lumberjack too.
Is this true?
I exaggerate this, but
sounds like a
essentially,
Yo Mama
yes.
joke.
She's what she does. She makes Christmas. She right now actually she's working on selling wreaths,
of course,
for Christmas.
Yeah.
So she goes out in the woods and like cuts down branches and like assembles.
Oh my
mean,
God.
she has also chopped, but she's not a lumberjack per se.
But she works. She's a woodworker.
She's and she does that stuff. And she's a beekeeper and she sells honey and wreaths at the Christmas markets in Germany.
Oh my God!
So that's what she does. Very wholesome. Yeah.
Love, despite my last name, I celebrate Christmas and I love Christmas and I want to go to the Christmas markets in Germany so bad.
Yeah.
Is it amazing?
I think it's one of the nicest things about Germany and one of the most unique. It's such a not just Germany, to be fair. It's also like in France, especially in the Strasbourg, which is close to my hometown. Like France, even in Poland, some parts they have amazing Christmas markets. Yeah. It's just such a vibe. You have the Glühwein. Do you know that? Like the mulled wine.
Oh,
but we call it. I think it might be a little bit besides like cinnamon and stuff, and it's like it's so hot, and you hold it, and it's just such a cute vibe, and the lights and everything. Mm-hmm. It's really special. Americans always love it. I've been to Chicago. They have one that's similar because my wife's from Chicago, and she took me to one, and there's a lot of Germans there, and it was like, oh yeah, I missed this. This is
it looks
one of my
really,
favorite parts of Christmas. Yeah,
it's like a Christmas book.
Yeah.
So one of my good friends in New York had grown up in Heidelberg.
Yeah,
and
very close to my hometown. Yeah.
I made a comment one time about it was like a tasteless joke about Germans being Nazis or something like that.
Sure.
And she got very defensive. And she was like, you don't understand. From the time we're in kindergarten, we learn about how, I forget how she put it, but essentially like learn about, Germany's role in the Holocaust and like this sort of like indoctrination of it will never happen again so that's what it's like a very intense guilt.
Oh, so much guilt. Yeah, no, 1,000%. So we started, I remember we started learning about history in 5th grade, and we started with, because you can't come out of the gate swinging with the Holocaust. You gotta ease your way into it a little bit. So we started with like ancient Egypt, the first democracy in Greece, that kind of stuff, French Revolution, American independence, all that stuff. And then 7th grade, we start maybe First World War, then Second World War, and then from 7th grade to the end of high school, it's all about Holocaust, Second World War.
You take like field trips too. Do you take field trips to camps?
Yeah, we took. I mean, there's not really any that were near where I lived, but
or museums or
she
almost seemed traumatized. Like I think in the same way that I kind of am.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's very interesting how that works. You know what the most interesting part is about this? We learn every single step of discrimination against Jewish people in Germany, but we don't really learn about Jewish culture. Or we have no intersection with Jewish culture. So every German will know about the Nuremberg trials and every single step of this and how it all started, and even like discrimination against Jews like thousands of years ago, and everything that revolves around that. But people don't know what a dreidel is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like this weird thing because, I mean, obviously we don't have a lot of Jewish people in Germany. So there's like this weird, it's almost like, because in America, you know, there's a lot of white guilt. You know, maybe not as prevalent as in, because America is so diverse also, but Germans, we collectively have this guilt, right?
Right.
But in America, you have a lot of intersections with black culture, right? So there's a lot of that, and you have a lot of black friends, or don't, but like at least, you know, you have some sort of intersection. In Germany, we don't have it at all.
Right. So there's no nothing living to engage with. It's just like textbook.
You can't say like, oh, I have a Jewish friend. No, there's none of that, you know? Americans, you can do this, you know? You can be like, I have a black friend. No. We don't have that in Germany.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how that works. And then, it gets a little, I get it, but it does sometimes get a little, tiring when like, you know, when you're a German and you go to like, even London, you know, and there's just always like come with the Nazi jokes.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I'm on stage in New York or something and I go up after a Jewish person, or a Jewish person goes up after me, you know, there's always like that remark. And I get it. And I think, in my opinion, what's funny, because I talk a lot about it, and I think it's important to talk about this guilt because it's real to me, and I think I talk a lot about my wife who's Jewish, you know, so there's a lot there. And I want to talk about this because it's just real, and I think comedy, we should be able to tastefully talk about those things. What I learned, though, is that Jewish people really like it. Who doesn't like it is Germans. To your point, right?
Yeah.
Because I did this, I was at a Jewish wedding, and they asked me to do stand-up, and they were like, I'll talk about your wife. And I was like, oh, okay. So I talked about her. I make jokes about, like, you know, the fact that, you know, when I met her, I learned Hebrew. I was like, hey, shalom aleichem. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't know you speak Spanish. You know? She has a lot, like, I roasted her basically for me learning everything about Judaism. Her last name is Horowitz. You know, she's not practicing the religion. But they loved it so much. But then I did, and this is true for comedy, I think, at large. When you talk about a group, who gets offended is usually not the group itself.
Right.
It's other people on behalf of the group. Usually white women. But, you know, that's another point.
So
but
fucking true.
but it's usually
I'm
how
so tired
it is.
of that.
Yeah, it's true. And then I did it in Germany, though, and I did some of those jokes, or even like, you know, some Nazi jokes or something like that about being rejected from art school. Sometimes the Germans are... I did shows in London and Berlin for the first time in Europe ever last month, and the German people,
why do
they
you
got
think
a little
that is?
tense because it's too real for us. The guilt, they don't know if I can laugh because we have like, we can't laugh about it.
Right.
Almost like if you're on the receiving end, like if the joke's about you, or if, you know, I think it's easier maybe to laugh about it, but for us it's like we have this guilt, like to your point, has been so, you know, since everybody went to school in Germany has this guilt, right?
Yeah,
so,
well, I think that's what it was for my friend. It was like, it's not funny to me. Like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, it was like I said, I feel like almost the indoctrination is the wrong word, but the repeated education of that specific point was like, had traumatized her a little bit.
Yeah, which is, it's tough because at the end of the day, like, we didn't do anything.
Right.
Like, our generation didn't do we had nothing to do with this, you know? So it's sometimes weird how this guilt, it's but I get it. You know, I understand how it came to be that way. But I that's why I want to, for me it's important, but this might also be a German thing at large, that Germans don't really laugh as much and we don't joke as much about things. Whereas in America, there's more of a culture of, you know, talking about touchy things. And, you know, I like when people talk about racial things. And I think it's important because it's almost weird to exclude people from that. And I think Germany's getting there, but it's just going to take a bit. But it's important to me to talk about this and still, you know, kind of keep pushing that instead of, because comedy has power in that too, you know.
So what made you decide to retire from modeling?
Well, a lot of different reasons. First of all, I mean, truly, there's no longevity in it. I mean, as a man, a bit more than as a woman. Truly, as a woman, when you're 25, you got to retire. Not quite, but there's a bit of that where, yeah, it's kind of cutthroat. And then I did fashion modeling, which means like you do more runways and stuff. Because I was pretty.
What were you doing first? Print.
I did like higher fashion first because I looked very young, and then I had I have a gap between my teeth, and kids were bullying me for that in school, by the way. And then I started modeling, and all the agents were like, "Oh my God, we love it so much! It's so cool! It's so fashion, you know." Which is funny how, like, you know, something you're insecure about then becomes, you know, something that makes you special, which is interesting. But I did a lot of runway shows, went to Milan, stuff like that. Which, by the way, there's no money in that. Like the cool jobs that sound cool, like walking for Prada or Armani, doesn't pay at all. What pays is doing a job for Macy's. That kind of stuff pays, you know. Like I did, and then when I got older, like when I was like maybe 23 or so, I got more into commercial stuff. They changed my look a little bit because I was also a little, like, not bigger but like athletic. I had a bigger chest, and they asked me to lose weight all the time because they wanted me to be like, you know, heroin chic.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what they were pushing me for.
Interesting.
Which is not something I felt comfortable with because it's not my body type.
Right.
And I would do it though because I wanted to fit in, right? And I remember one time I basically starved myself and went to Milan Fashion Week, and I felt, I mean, to give you perspective, like I'm like 200 pounds. Then, okay, I got to transfer now to kilograms, but I was like 70 kilograms. So like, what is that? Like I was like,
is that like 160 or something?
Yeah, maybe 75. Like I was under 80. Yeah. So I was definitely, I was like 30, 40 pounds lighter than I am now.
154 pounds according to the internet.
154. Really?
I mean, I was pretty close. It's about me, and I was pretty
Anyways,
close,
I was very skinny, and I remember I went back, and then I did Milan Fashion Week, and like did all that stuff, and then my grandma passed away that week, so I went back to Germany, and then I went back, and all my dad was asking me if I was okay, you know, and I was like, oh shit, I did all this stuff to fit into the fashion industry, and then my grandma passed away, and I'd canceled the shows. I didn't do anything, you know, and I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. So basically then started more YouTube stuff because then I could, you know, the frustrating thing about modeling is that you always depend on other people. You don't have really any power. You're at the bottom. People think that you're the model. People think, oh my god, you're the star. The clothing makes you look good. No, you make the clothing look good. The clothing is the star. You are an accessory to the clothing.
Right.
And you're literally on the bottom of the hierarchy in modeling. So that was that bothered me, and there was no creative expression really. Whereas with YouTube, I could, you know, tell stories, share my values, make fun of things, like be silly. That's something I really enjoy with that. So that's why I quit. That's one part. And another part is also a lot of sexual harassment, like crazy amount, especially as men. In modeling, possibly more than women even, because a lot of photographers are gay, and the industry is run by gay men. And there's this notion that, like, you know, straight men, or men in general, but straight men more so than gay men, or models won't talk about anything because it might question, you know, if you admit that a guy touched you, it might be like, oh, did you enjoy it? Or does that mean you're gay now? You know, that kind of thing. Right, the shame. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of shame with that. So it's insane. Whenever I talked to my model friends, and I mentioned some stories of like, oh, this photographer, you know, he like adjusts my underwear and then like, you know, grab my penis, right? They'd always be like, wait, they only did that? This, like, it's crazy. Like how much worse it was. I have a joke in stand up where I talk about this too. I was like, I told my modeling friends in New York that I went to, you know, I did this job in Berlin. This photographer, he basically, you know, he literally, I mean, this is not a joke. This is a little. How can I go a little graphic on this? Oh yeah. So he basically was like, can I adjust your underwear a little bit? And I was like, sure, man, go ahead, because I thought he was gonna adjust my waistband. The dude literally pulls my underwear to the front, grabs my penis, okay, pulls, like, he lengthens it, okay. Adjusts it, puts it down again, closes the underwear again. That's not adjusting your underwear. It was thank you. And it was like the most like routine. It was like a cashier at a supermarket. You know? You open the register, put it, and then and I told my model friends about this. I was like, guys, I just did a modeling job in New York, and this photographer he lengthened my dick. And they were like, oh my god, bro, you got a modeling job in New York? I gotta call my agent, dude, because truly it's so normal. You become so desensitized to this stuff. Yeah.
But was he trying to grope you, or was he just trying to make you look different in the underwear? There's no way that this... I mean, if he wanted it, he could tell me to adjust it. No, it was true, clearly... Yeah. There was also such a vibe. Like, these photographers... The reason I asked is you said that it was just, like, so routine for him. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit to make it, like, you know, turn it into a bit also, but... No, I mean, actually, it was kind of like that, but he would always also... Maybe he does that to all the... Yeah. But on top of that, there would be always, like, some remarks and a lot of flirtatious things, and then sometimes very blunt offers of, like, hey, if you let me blow you, I'm going to give you this magazine cover that I can shoot you for. Because these photographers have a lot of power. You know, they can choose who they're going to shoot for this cover. And you're a young model. You're broke. Men don't make a lot of money. Women make more in modeling, actually. There's a pay gap. And thanks for giving me this platform to talk about the issues. Pay gap in modeling. But yeah, it's... it lends itself. It's the perfect combination that just allows sexual harassment, because you have men that won't talk about it because they think it's not manly,
You have desperate men who are broke, and you have a power dynamic and you're already in a very sexualized industry.
Right.
I always joke about this, but I think even the adult industry sometimes is a bit more professional because it's the cards are on the table.
Right.
We know this
Everyone
is
knows
about
what's
exactly. Whereas
and what
modeling,
protections need to be in place.
Exactly. Very professional. I have friends who are porn stars, and they're like, we have to get this, is that consent, you get to get tested, all this stuff, right? And there's a lot of issues there as well, but this power dynamic that I've seen in fashion is just, and so many people were like, yeah. The cast director for Dolce & Gabbana came up and was like, hey, if you do this, you can get on the show. Yeah.
Did you ever tell your reps about it?
Yeah, and that's where it gets a little tricky, is that there's shame in that, first of all, but then the reps also know about it. And that's the really messed up part. And not to say I've had fantastic agencies, I'm not saying all of them, and I'm not going to name names, but there's been some that knew about this. And even, I remember one time a rep basically took photos of me. You have to take digitals. It's basically like very natural light photos, no makeup, blah, blah. And to send to these, casting directors for Old Navy or all these legit brands, right? Which is a common requirement. But then on top of that, he would take very sexy ones of me. Like we'd be in the agency in New York, and he would take these photos, and then he was like, okay, we do some that are like a little sexier, like show a little bit of pubic hair, show a little bit of that, and then, can you make yourself a little bigger? And then he would send those to these like big photographers to basically bait them a little bit, like send them very sexy photos to be like, hey, do you want to shoot him? And then you get a private meeting with him. And then you go to this, Mario Testino is a very famous example of somebody who got canceled, Bruce Weber. So many, and it's so funny, there's a wave of, if you look at the biggest male photographers, 80% of them have been canceled for some sort of and it all came out because it's so, and they're in touch with the agents too, and often with designers. Abercrombie, huge thing came out with this photographer, Bruce Weber, and then also like some Abercrombie, like the CEO, they had these essentially sex parties where they would fly models to the south of France or the Hamptons.
Male models?
Male models, yeah, all male. It's all gay men. And they would have these crazy parties, and they would be like, hey, you don't have to do anything, but if you do, Ralph Lauren might book you. Or, Abercrombie might book you. They might shoot you for this thing. So they put a lot of pressure, and then they have these stuff came out that's insane.
Wow.
And, so that's kind of like stuff that it just became so normal, and then the industry, they're benefiting from it because the agents, they obviously make more money if you get shot. Like if Mario Testino shoots you, the agent makes more money and everybody wins. So it's kind of like this unspoken thing that's never really addressed. I've had some agents, mainly female, they were very upfront about this. They were like, hey, if anything happens, walk out, let us know, stuff like that, because they know about this. But a lot of other agents have not been that. They've kind of played the game also, right? So, yeah.
Are you angry about it?
I'm not a person that I don't express anger as much. I'm very stoic in that sense. I've talked about a lot more in therapy and stuff like that. I am angry for myself, but also what I'm most angry about truly is about young models now. That if you do this stuff, it's always messed up, but the most messed up is when you play with the insecurities and dreams of young people. And I'm not saying underage. That's even more of a problem, but when some 19-year-old kid from Lithuania comes to America and, doesn't know how anything works, and then you tell him these stories and manipulate him on this level and YouTube power, that's really messed up. If you try to make a move on a 26-year-old, that's very different, I'm not saying that it's good, but that really makes me angry of like these young people. That's why I've decided to talk about this too. Made a YouTube video about this also, about sexual assault, and I think it's important because, again, now it's getting better, but male vulnerability is something that, I feel like men don't often talk about this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mentioned therapy.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that is not particularly common in Germany? Well, actually, I guess Germany and Austria is sort of the birthplace of a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. It is, but it has not stuck at all. No, let me tell you. LA, the U.S. is definitely way ahead when it comes to that, which is interesting because it's very bizarre. Germans are, in a way, I think when it comes to medical stuff, we're often, like, in a way, a little bit ahead with the medical system and stuff like that. But culturally, we just tend to not express feelings as much. We're much more stoic, just culturally. Back to the, Germans are not very emotional. We often just, like I have a joke where I say we Germans, we don't express our feelings because it's very energy inefficient to show emotions, So we suppress the energy, we take the energy and we use it to make better cars. And that's what we do. So no, it's not at all common. Because most people associate still, like when you need a therapist, they think that you are crazy, or that you have like some really severe mental health issues. So
right.
That's kind of like the notion in Germany. But it's changing now. It's changing slowly. But therapy is definitely... It's a lot more common here in the U.S., yeah.
Speaking of therapy, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I would like to thank my therapist, whom I see every week, who's helped me out enormously. This month is all about gratitude, and along with the person I just shouted out, there's another person we don't get to thank enough, ourselves. Some people, like my husband, would say that I do thank myself enough and that I am sort of, one would almost say self-congratulatory. I disagree. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything. And in this crazy world, that isn't easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. Obviously, from what I just said, I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy for a long time. Big therapy fan. I think everyone can stand to benefit from it. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/bestfriend today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/bestfriend. So what made you decide to find a therapist out here?
I don't know. When did I start therapy, actually? So what I did, my parents broke up when I was younger. So I did get the government pays for a therapist, if that's the case. So they're pretty good with that. Good. They pay for a family therapist. So I did that when I was like 6. But at the point, I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't fully understand the point of it. I started therapy. It's actually a fantastic question. Probably after I went to Burning Man. And actually stayed in LA for a little bit, because then everybody talked about therapy, and I was like, I love learning stuff. I've always been reading a lot, and I've been quite vulnerable, I think, with my friends and online. But yeah, that's when it started, like right when I moved to Los Angeles, and that again shows you that it's that collective. In Germany, I would have probably not done it because there's like a shame around it. Whereas here, everybody does therapy. It's cool,
right?
Even with your quote unquote successful and you're doing well. I luckily never was struggling to the point where I had severe mental health issues or anything, but I think we can always do better. Kind of like going to the gym, right?
That's how I think of it too. Yeah. How did you meet your wife?
I met her at a Christmas party in 2019 at what's it called? No Vacancy. It was from my former YouTube studio. It's in Hollywood. It's like the bar when you walk in. There's like a lady in burlesque, and then she's on a sofa, and then she kind of turns around. There's like it's very true. Have you been there?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It's maybe I said this wrong, but it's something like on the lines of like you go in and then she's on and then it turns into an elevator. It's kind of like a speakeasy.
Oh, that's
very
really cool.
Yeah. So we went there and met her, which is so funny because I had at the time, I hadn't dated anybody in many, many years. I had a girlfriend when I was in Germany, and then once I started modeling, just to give you an idea, I was in a different country every month. Like I didn't have a home at all. Yeah. So I kind of like protected myself from getting hurt by also being very independent, like not letting people in really. I always had a lot of friends and I was very social, but nobody was close to me ever. So, which is obviously, it's hard when you travel so much and you don't have a home at all. So when I met her, that's where I was at. And then I had a lot of my best friend's gay, and we're very close. That's kind of like the concept of a bromance where that came about.
You have a song called Bromance.
I have a song called, Is
it about him?
It is really about him, yeah, because I love him. He's like, truly my best friend. We had such a deep connection. It was also through COVID. He was going through a lot of mental health, depression, and it was very tough, but we really supported each other through that, and it was so beautiful having that close relationship between a straight man and a gay man, which is also not very common. People think, oh, you both are gay, but I was like, no, it's just about male friendship, to get back to the topic, right? And so when I met my wife, he was with me, and we're very close. So I saw her, I was like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. She's going to be my girlfriend one day. And she saw me, and she was like, oh my God, he's going to be my gay best friend. Because I looked super Euro, dude. I had like tight turtleneck, tight pants. I looked so Euro because I hadn't even moved officially to LA, and my friend Travis was like very close to me, and so it took her a minute to figure out that I was actually into women also, and then and then we started dating, and then the pandemic happened, which is odd because you go from having some dates in the real world to being married for 5 years essentially, just being stuck inside, living the life of a married couple. So that was interesting, but we made it through, and then had to kind of relearn what it's like to act as a couple in public, which was interesting.
You have some jokes about people trying to tell you're gay, like girls thinking that you're. Is that a thing that happens all the time?
All the time. Because even when I was single, like I was never hitting on girls. Like I'm not like what's it called? I look like a douchebag fuckboy. I was never that. I'm always afraid of making women feel uncomfortable. So I was never like very forward. But they thought, the only way that explains that he's not trying to have sex with me is that he must be gay. So that's what happened a lot. I'm not very forward with women. And then on top of that, also, mind you, I mean, totally also my online presence, because I did modeling. I did a lot of underwear modeling. I had also on YouTube then made videos with my friend Travis, about bromance, where I want to prove the point that, hey, two men can be close, right? So we had photos together that were very close. I fully understand why, based on that online presence, me wearing Speedos, because I'm European, I'm not gay, I'm Europe, but I understand how all that makes people think I'm gay. So I'm not like, I don't get how they think that. I totally understand where that comes from.
Yeah.
I'm just like a little, I don't know. I'm just not I'm just never a creep. I'm not American. I was. I was never.
Do you have siblings?
No.
Okay.
No.
I wondered if maybe you have sisters or but no. But because I feel like sometimes that sort of like, well, my husband is an only child too, and has said that like he can't go to a strip club. Like he can't feel good about that. He just looks at the women and like imagines what. Not that it sounds like he's judging it, but
sure,
he's always trying to not be predatory.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
I don't know where that comes from for me. Actually, it's always been like that. I was like, maybe because I felt like I've been objectified a lot in modeling, but it was even before that. I don't know. I have cousins, and I've sometimes seen what I've seen with my cousins was I've seen some like, sometimes I saw this one dude who was like a creepy German dude, who got drunk and then made some comment about my cousin. And it really upset me, and I was like, I don't know, I don't want people to feel this way.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Or maybe I'm just a beta simp. Who knows? Maybe I'm just...
You might be a cuck.
Maybe I'm just a cuck. Listen, maybe that's what it is. I'm trying to do some like explanation about, I don't want to make women feel comfortable. Maybe I'm just a blue peel weasel. Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'm just a weasel. Yeah.
A blue peel weasel. I've never heard of that.
I said I pronounced it weird. I pronounced it like Bruno. No. Blue. Do you know blue pill?
Oh, blue pill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I said it weird. I said like
blue peel. I was thinking like a blue banana peel.
I love that. No, like a blue pill weasel.
Yes. Yeah. Clearly, that's what you need to meet some Giga Chad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Giga Chad. Let's go.
I've noticed in your videos sometimes you'll slip into speaking English with a German accent.
Oh yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
What is that like for your brain to do that? Like, is that like a third, or I mean, like another language? What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is it easier? This is my question. Is it easier for you to speak English with a German accent or English with the like very small accent that you have?
It's easier to speak this way right now.
It is.
Because
that's probably the way you learned, right?
That's the way I learned. I mean, I do have an accent that's slight. I don't sound like this. No, that's not how we speak right now. But I do have this character, right? When I sometimes talk about Germans, make fun of them or act out my mom. I do this, and on social media, I found this format where I basically say, these scenarios like POV. You're having, you're on a date night with a German, and then I just slip into this now we have to 15 minutes for the dinner, then we go, then we have sexy time. You have 25 minutes, then we go back to sleep. So that's when I go into it. But it's so funny because sometimes people watch a lot of my reels, and then they meet me in person. They was like, "Oh, where's the German now? Why do you sound so normal?"
I think the question is for you to do that, is it adding something or removing something?
You know what? It's interesting. It's almost like it's a fantastic question. I never thought about it this way. I think I always thought it was adding something, but one experience made me question this, which is when I did comedy in German for the first time. Because I do stand up in English, and I've learned it in English. I've only done it in English so far until a couple of weeks ago in Berlin. Did my first show ever in German, and that was the first time in a long time that I was nervous for a show because it felt so unfamiliar. I'm not used to speak in German, especially I'm not used to doing jokes in German.
Right.
And a lot of my material I couldn't translate it really because I talk about Trader Joe's or things like that are not necessarily culturally relevant in Germany. And then the sentence structure is weird, where in Germany the verb is often at the end. And you need the punchline to be the one word at the end, right? So
comedy is so dependent on the wording.
The wording, 1,000%. So, but then I did it in German, and I felt it felt almost like I was more free because I was speaking in my native language.
That's so interesting.
And I've been forgetting that English is my second language. I don't think about it because I just exist here and I talk to you, and I think in
Sounds
English
very natural,
for the most part.
Yeah.
But I forgot about that. I felt like, oh God, it felt like I was I don't know, boxing without the weights on or something.
Yeah.
It felt like, this feels more,
That's so interesting. More innate.
It did, yeah. It did feel more like that. So it's almost like maybe I'm suppressing. Maybe what naturally wants to happen is for my German accent to come out. Yeah, but then I have to kind of suppress it and talk like this and talk to you like this, and try to be more American. All right.
Right. Yeah.
Good question. I think it's a mix of both. Yeah. But it does come effortless to me to still talk in English to you like that. It's not like I have to hide the accent.
Jeff, you're pretty fluent in French, right?
I used to be. I can, just a little bit.
Can you do French with an American accent?
Can I do French with an American?
I'd be like, merci.
No,
you have to think to do it.
Je m'appelle.
The only one I've done is
Jeff.
French with a Philly accent because I'd be like, "Je suis un grand pamplemousse," So that's
that's good.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Dude, that's funny. The accents in different languages because people tell me now, this really upset me because I have an American. I know I don't sound like an American. People always say, "Oh, where's your accent from?" People can't place me usually. They think I don't know, Swedish, Dutch, or something.
Right.
But so I don't fit in. I'm too German to be in America, but then in Germany, people told me that I have an American accent when I speak German now.
Oh, really?
So I was like, dang, I don't belong anywhere anymore. Isn't that messed up that now I have adapted this American accent? God damn. That made me a little sad, I was like...
Was it your family who said that? Or?
A lot of people. They say I just have an American vibe. Yeah.
Your vibe.
Yeah, it was subtle. It was some words I was saying. We talk about there's a word called Versicherung, which means health insurance. And I would just say it to have a different accent. I was like, for liberal to ruin the country. But I was like, I think it's subtle. It's sometimes the way... Is it
cadence?
Maybe the cadence too. Yeah, but I think if I spent if I spent 2 months in Germany, I'd be back to normal. But the funniest thing is about that when you did the Philly accent in French, we watched movies. They're always dubbed, right? So you have the most famous movies. You always have an actor. For Johnny Depp, for example, Pirates of the Caribbean has a voice actor in Germany who does all his movies. So he's like, if he did Johnny Depp, his career takes off. This guy has a job for life, And funny enough, something happened to this guy. I think he passed away, and then they had to replace the voice actor. So imagine you're a kid in Germany, you watch Pirates of the Caribbean 1 and 2, and then the third one comes out, and all of a sudden Johnny Depp sounds so different. It changes the entire character. Americans don't think about this, but the vibe of a character like Johnny Depp is so different depending because everything gets dubbed. It's so common to watch dubbed movies. I never watched American movies in Germany growing up until I was 18, learn English. Then I switched. I watched How I Met Your Mother. That was the first TV show I watched in English to learn English, frankly. It was great to learn English, actually. It's a great way to learn any language. And the crazy one is Harold and Kumar. Oh, yeah. I shared this on a podcast, but Harold and Kumar... Kumar is Indian, but has just an American accent. In German, he has the thickest Indian accent. And it's imagine Indian accent in German, So it's the same. He was we wollen da vorne Tor gehen zum Schloss. It's very, It's hilarious, but it's like so thick where I was like, who came up with that? Who made that decision that like this guy now has like this super thick, unrealistic Indian accent?
Yeah.
Where in America, he's just a dude. He just sounds American.
That's so interesting.
So yeah, it's funny how
I think our version of something like that would be like with my kids watching Sesame Street and being like, that is not how that character sounded. Because it's like a different actor doing, Elmo or any of the Jim Henson. Not John Henson. Jim Henson did he do voices for Sesame Street?
Yeah.
No, he did.
Yeah,
yes.
he did Kermit the Frog. He did a bunch of them.
Yeah,
but Kermit the Frog sounded a lot like him. And after he passed away, Kermit.
Yes.
It was close, but it was different.
Right. You can hear the difference.
That's wild. No, we had Sesame Street.
Okay.
I thought it was a German thing, to be frank. I didn't know it was an American thing. Because you don't hear, it's not people. It's like the mouth movement is not necessarily
right. Yeah. Yes. You wouldn't be like, that's Elmo's dubbed.
Yeah. Because you can tell when it's dubbed, obviously. Which I wonder with AI. If they
right.
I think with AI they might be able to just like even adjust the mouth movement to the language.
I bet they could.
I think they could for real, but who knows?
That's funny. So you have dubbed Sesame Street, and you thought it was a German show.
I did think it was German, so it's called Sesamstraße.
Sounds good.
Hot, very sexy, yeah. Very sexy.
I think it might be time to do Just Me or Everyone.
Yes.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
Skadoop-doop.
It's time for Just Me or Everyone.
All right. Do you happen to have a Just Me or Everyone?
Yeah, so I thought of two.
Oh, great.
Well, so one is actually weird and a little bit violent and might upset some people.
Okay, warning.
I don't know. So here's the thing. I love dogs. Love dogs. I have a dog. Big fan of the dog. Okay? His name is Dexter. Love the dog. My wife brought him.
What kind of dog is Dexter?
You tell me. It's like, this is Dexter.
Oh my God. He's like a terrier of some sort. He's so cute. Is he little?
Very cute. He's medium. He's like 30 something pounds.
Okay. He looks like maybe there's some schnauzer in there. I don't know. But he's very cute.
He's very cute. Beautiful eyes. Beautiful eyes. Very human eyes. However, sometimes I go hiking or I go for a walk at Runyon or Griffith, and sometimes I see one of these little dogs, and they're just like walking to me, and I used to play soccer, and this is going to sound horrible, but I love dogs. Just want to preface that. But sometimes, I don't know if it's just me, but like sometimes I wonder when you're like at Griffith, I wonder if I kick this dog right now, like how far could it, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty good at soccer. I was like, and it's like one of these intrusive. I would never do this. I would never do this. But I was like, what would happen? And I would kind of like to do it just to see the look of the face of the girl who's walking the dog, just like fully perplexed if I just kicked her dog, but like really like fast, and if maybe the dog will like because it's like thinks it's flying. Because these dogs are quite small. And
they're aerodynamic.
And they have a good, what's it called? Like they're, aerodynamic. Exactly. When you put them in a wind tunnel, I think they'll just float. So I was thinking about that sometimes. And I thought I'd come on here and share that in the most dog-friendly city in the world. But just want to say, I love dogs.
No, I don't think that's just you. I have not had that specific thought. However, thoughts like that, I think it's not completely dissimilar from, unless it turns out you are a dog maniac, in which case I've normalized you. But don't you have that thought sometimes, like if you're in the audience watching about to see a musical or performance or something, like, what if I just stood up and yelled, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that, like, what's the most inappropriate antisocial thing?
1000%.
And that pops in. But I think it actually, do you have intrusive thoughts? Is that a thing for you?
Not as much. I mean, sometimes, yeah. A lot of it revolves around kicking people off cliff. It's so weird, but like I'll go sometimes with my wife too. Like I was like, we went on a hike for a birthday yesterday, and I was like, what if I just like, because she was just walking there, just la la la, being on her phone, answering birthday messages. What if I just like took her and like just threw her down the, and I was like, well, how would she react? Like, what would happen, to a relationship? I sometimes have these thoughts. So I don't know, maybe it's just a kicking people off Runyon Canyon kind of fetish, but
I think it's normal.
Okay.
However, I do think a psychopath is like, I want to watch their expression when I, rip them from the limb or something.
For me, it's not. I want to watch their expression. I'm just genuinely curious. I like.
You're a YouTuber. You want to see what the next scene is.
Yeah, it's like it's a prank. It's a pranker. I was like, I wonder if what's the most absurd thing I could do, and something people don't expect. I think that's the funny thing to me. It's not seeing the pain in her when I kick her dog, but like how perplexed must she be if some dude just for no reason just kicked her dog. But far, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I used to often think about in restaurants, what if I just got up and went to another table and just leaned over and took a bite of their food?
Yeah.
I did not actually want to do this at all, but I like a lot of stuff like that, like the completely socially unacceptable thing.
Or I was at a church and like, it was for a wedding for a friend of mine. I was like, it was so quiet and I was like, what if I just yell penis? You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. It's just like, how do people, because life's not that serious. You sometimes make it out to be. And I was like, how will people actually handle that?
Right.
And can I get out of like, what would be the consequence? Sometimes I wonder about that. Sometimes I wish I had the possibility to like reverse time a little bit just to see, like the what would happen. And just like, I think that's the best comedy, But there's consequence to it. I don't want to kick people. So guys, if you see me running candy, don't be worried. I'm not going to actually kick your dog.
Keep your dog on a short leash.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have a just mirror everyone, which is I was on Amazon today setting up some returns, and I realized I really love the feeling of going to the UPS store. And I mean, I don't love the errand of returning things. I actually find it to be a pain in the ass. But when they scan my code and take the item from me, I feel so much like I feel unburdened.
Yeah.
I feel lighter.
Yeah.
It's truly like a tiny orgasmic moment.
No, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
100%. I think there's also nothing more satisfying than decluttering. You know what I mean? Like getting rid of things, I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
sounds a little weird as a German. It sounds a little aggressive. No. I love that stuff. I'm also I'm more of a minimalist, and my wife is not. So I love, going through stuff and being like, okay, what can we get rid of? Because I used to travel with one suitcase only.
Wow.
And I lived like that for 6 years of my life.
Did you check it or carry it on?
Check it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because that was all I had.
You had to, yeah.
But I was quite a minimalist. There was something so beautiful about that in my whole life, everything I owned was just, I had some things in Germany back in my hometown, back in Eibsbach in Hochschwarzwald. But
what does that mean?
It means, so Bach means creek. Hochschwarzwald means the northern Black Forest. So an Alpirsbach is just an Alpir, I don't know what that means. It's like the name of a creek, So it's like, whatever. Smith Creek in the Black Forest. That's basically what it means, yeah. But yeah, and so I totally relate to that. The feeling of just traveling the world with only that is like something is having, and I will sound like a Buddhist of like giving up everything, but there's something, possessions kind of can weigh on you, so I totally get that.
My possession, so I am a cluttery person. I am not a minimalist. And I do feel like all this stuff is in the way of like me living the life being a streamlined dog getting kicked across the field. Yeah. Living the life I want to live, but it's like it's overwhelming starting to get rid of stuff. That's why for me, when I return stuff to the UPS store and they just scan and then they just take it, it's like this tiny moment of like, now it's your problem.
Yeah. That's right.
And it's all taken care of.
Yes.
There's that satisfaction of like, it's been
It's
scanned,
done.
it's in the system, it is now your possession. Yeah.
It's also structured and efficient, which is so hot to me as a German. Like the efficiency of that. Yeah. Oh, I love the structure of,
Sometimes,
very well run.
Then the last time I was there, though, I started thinking, like, I'm returning like 12 things or something. And if you just think of how many customers go into this store, how many stores there are in America, or the world, really, like what's happening to all this stuff getting returned? Sometimes I feel like I'm actually receive it. Like when you open up a package, you're like, well, someone else returned this, but that's okay. But for the most part, like, where's all this shit going?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like because Amazon is such a big corporation, it makes so much money, they might just also get away with trashing a lot of stuff. Sad, sounds
so.
sad,
Right.
but like I remember I was in New York one time and somebody stole my package. Legit, like I was in the model apartment in Brooklyn, and somebody just like I forgot what was in it, but it was like I think some camera, maybe a hard drive or something. So it was not cheap, right? And they just stole it. And then I called Amazon. I was like, hey, somebody just stole my package, without even asking what specifically happened. They were like, hey, do you want the refund on your credit card or on your account or as a gift card?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, they can just afford to just do that because they're Amazon, you know? So like I feel like a lot of times there's more things that go to waste because sometimes, think about this, what's more work? When you have a product on Amazon that's like whatever, $10, $8, it might be like restocking it, and the whole organizational process of like doing this is sometimes more expensive than actually just being like, okay, we're just gonna put it in the trash. And that's sad, it's very wasteful, but that's kind of like how these companies operate on like a...
Sometimes lately I have been encountering returnless refunds.
Where
they'll just refund you and you can keep it.
Yes,
That is my favorite. Then, I mean, I do enjoy having it taken off my hands, but I more enjoy not having to go to the store. That's
right,
pretty
but
great.
also when I've had that happen, and now I think, well, what am I supposed to do with this thing that I don't want?
Yeah.
I almost want to say like, I'll give you $5 to take it back.
Exactly.
I want it out of my life.
I would do refundless returns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would just pay and then just return it and just like, you know, do what Amazon does essentially. Just get rid of things.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, speaking of, let's do Podcast Pals product picks.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast Pals Peanut Picks.
All right. I must admit, I got a sneak peek of what yours is.
Oh, you saw.
And
Okay, good.
I actually have one of these.
You do?
I do. Yes.
I love this.
So tell us what it is.
It's a thing. It's called, in German, it's called an Eiersollbruchstellenverursacher, which means it's an egg decapitating device.
That's actually what it means?
Well, no. Okay, so it's kind of, okay, this is getting a little too engineery, but a Sollbruchstelle, it's basically when you have, when you break something, it's often like when you have a screw or something in engineering, and you want to make, you have a calculated, what's it called?
Strike?
Yeah, something like that. A strike or like a break, you know, in a material. That's called a Sollbruchstelle because it's the place where it's supposed to be broken. Yeah, a fracture, but like a calculated fracture, you know? So this device basically, Eiersollbruchstellenverursacher, means causing this crack on an egg, and Eierschale means the what's it called, the shell of the egg, right?
Got it.
So that's basically what it is. So it's a little device. Maybe you've seen it, and instead of like, I hate seeing the Americans inefficiently peeling their eggs. Like little monkeys, you know, just like peeling it. And then sometimes what happens, you lose half the, like sometimes some of the skin of the egg actually gets peeled off too. So you're wasting precious egg. Yeah, you're wasting precious protein. Yeah. So instead, what you do with this, beautiful. You put the little hood on top of the egg. It fits perfectly because it's precisely engineered by German engineers. Yeah. Then you take a little ball, which has a little bit of weight, like a little wrecking ball basically. And then you let it fall on the egg, and then rums. Yeah. There's a loud, like a clack, like a clack, like a, yeah. And then there's a perfect semicircle. It's like you circumcise the egg. Truly, that's what it is.
Wait, can I look at your phone? Because I think that the one I have is clearly not German. This is a little bit different. This looks better than the one I have.
Well, there's different ones. How's the mechanics of yours?
On mine, I think is a shorter like stalk kind of, and then you pull.
Got it. Yeah,
you pull the ball back.
Yeah, but
it snaps.
So it's like a feather instead of the weight of the actual ball.
Yes.
Because there's one that you actually
snaps.
use the weight, like you use gravity. For the one you have, you actually use a feather that pulls it back.
Oh,
right?
Is a feather an engineering term?
Oh, well, in
like
German it's called a Feder.
Okay.
It's like a coil.
Yes.
You know, like
a spring.
A spring, sorry. In German it's called Feder, yeah. Whatever. So, it's got a spring, so you take the spring to...
but the weight of the ball, that sounds very satisfying.
Isn't it?
Is
right?
it?
Because it's even more pure, you know?
Yeah.
Because you literally... It's like a guillotine.
Yeah.
You know? Like in French, you know, when they beheaded people, it's just the gravity of the actual ball,
right.
And it's just satisfying. I think it's just something so beautiful about, you know, just annihilating the egg in that way, and yeah.
But wait, do you use these? Because I thought that it is only for like a soft boiled egg or something like that.
Yeah. So how we do it in Germany, I like soft boiled. where we have a lot of that. We don't have in America. You have a lot of different ones, which you don't have. We have all you have 5 different names. I'm so confused by sunny, fried, poached. There's so many different things in Germany. For the most part, we have the boiled eggs, right? So you have your German how I'd eat it as a kid. We'd have amazing German bread. I will say the bread is the thing I miss the most about Germany. It's like so good. My uncle's a baker, and we'd have this amazing wood oven homemade bread, and then you decapitate the egg, right? You take it off, and then the yolk is still running, and then you take a piece of bread, you maybe put some butter on it, and you have but you cut it into a little, almost like a little string, and then you dip that into the yolk, and then you eat that. So that's like the way we eat it in Germany.
Okay. Do you ever have hard-boiled eggs?
Yeah, hard-boiled is when you go on a hike, usually. Hard-boiled eggs, you go on a hike or something. We do a famous 1st of May hike, and we sing German hiking songs, which is hilarious. Nobody should ever hear those. They sound bad. This
whole thing sounds bad.
Oh God, it's just we love hiking, and that's just truly. It's my favorite. This is my favorite holiday. Because
really?
I love, 1st of May is like the national holiday. It's like Labor Day in Germany. But the tradition is you go with your dad and your family.
Oh, that's
and
sweet.
You go and you, often you take a little wagon, you put beer on it, and you go into the woods and you just sing and you go. It's a thing you reconnect with your family. And I love that. Because, you can have dinner with your family, but you sit next to somebody and you don't sit next to some people.
Yeah.
On a hike, you're in nature, you're walking. I can talk to my cousin I haven't talked to in a year for 30 minutes, then I can talk to my, aunt or whatever. It's beautiful. I love that so much. So then we would always do these little breaks as you're overlooking some, the Black Forest. And then we'd have a little hard-boiled egg with some bratwurst. Yeah.
What's that?
Bratwurst?
Oh, bratwurst. Yes. Yeah.
So I have to say it like American. Bratwurst. Bratwurst.
I thought what you said sounded like some version of horseradish at first to me.
Oh no, horseradish is Meerrettich.
Oh.
Yeah.
So now you would not use the egg guillotine on a hard-boiled egg on hike day, though, would you?
No, because it's too much. Because then you have to also carry the guillotine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that.
When I first bought it, I was so fascinated by it, but I didn't understand how it worked. So I kept putting the little top on the egg and then kind of spinning it. I didn't realize
really?
you pull the ball back.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And
how did you get
work.
it? Did somebody give it to you?
No, I saw it, I think, on Amazon. At this time I was eating, I've reduced my egg consumption. I don't know. I haven't been in an egg mood, but I was eating a lot of eggs then. And I was like, an egg device? Yes. Yeah. And I thought it was so cool, but then, or maybe someone recommended it in a roundup or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't. I've had to watch a video.
Yeah.
To see how it works.
It's very satisfying. I think it's so satisfying.
I'm gonna get one of these that has the where it's just the weight of the ball. Mario, this has been delightful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I feel we've really. Oh, I didn't even ask you about Ask a German. Tell me about that.
Oh, Ask a German. So it's a new show I'm doing where I'm giving people advice because I talk a lot about my struggles, but I also want to talk about other people's struggles. So what I do in this show is it's every week in LA now I'm doing it, and also in New York starting in January at the Stand. And it's going to be a show where basically the audience comes with their struggles and I give them advice as a German. Because sometimes, Americans, you need a little bit of that German toughness, of that clear-mindedness, of that stoicism. And I give it to you and I solve your problems. We find final solutions for your struggles.
And where in LA do you do it?
I do that at this small place called the Best Comedy Theater near me. It's a tiny little place, and it's super intimate. I cap it at 40 people, and I do it all the time just to work on.
Is it called the Best Comedy Place near me?
That's what it's called.
That's the whole name.
It's a small hole in the wall, but it's beautiful because it's so intimate, and it's a perfect place to try out this new format of a show. I do crowd work a lot. I do new material that I don't do anywhere else. It's kind of like a lab testing ground. It's always been super fun. So yeah, that's what I do.
So tell everyone where they can find you.
Just Mario Adrion on Instagram and marioadrion.com for all the tour dates. Yeah, tour coming soon. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Jeff, what about you?
I have no plugs. I'm unplugged. I'm like Mario at Burning Man. I'm just checked out. I'm in space. I'm just existing and living life. That's all there is to it.
Wonderful.
It's beautiful.
Well, I have a Patreon, and I would love for you to come be one of my Allison people on my Patreon.
Patreon.
It's weird to say patron. Come be my patron. But I mean, that is what Patreon is suggesting they are.
It is, but it feels like you're stepping away from the Eon brand. Maybe they're Patreoners.
Yeah, come be one of. I actually call them.
peasants.
Internally, I call them patroons. And I just refer to it as patroon, just because it's fun to say.
Doesn't that mean friend or something? Like, isn't that a patroon? Like, isn't that a jargon for a friend or something? Am I imagining that? I might be.
Or Patronus.
I don't know.
Feels like Harry Potter. Yeah.
Expecto Patronus. Yeah.
I don't know.
Patronus is cool too.
Be one of my patronuses. Be one of my patroons at patreon.com/Allison Rosen. And then also I'm on Substack. I am writing up a storm, you guys. I recently told a story about someone was a horrendous biatch to me when I was 19 and kind of swore me to secrecy. And I have not told this story ever. And then I was like, wait a minute. There's no reason I got to keep this secret. So I wrote about that. And
there's Bass or Poo.
There's more.
Mindy Cohn did that to me.
Oh, Mindy. There's more where it came from. Substack.com. No, that's not. What is? Yes, that. No. God damn it. AllisonRosen.substack.com. The center of my brain that holds the URLs. I need to take just that center of my brain and take it to
Jeff,
Burning
you're going to be cutting this out. Sorry, Jeff.
So go to Allison'sLinks.com to get to the rest of them. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Jeff, thank you for filling in.
My pleasure.
Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Yeah, Allison Rosen is your new best friend.